Hello everybody, hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to more information here at Esports Talk on the CWL, that being the Call of Duty League, Call of Duty World League, whatever you do want to call it. Let's cut the chase, okay? Let's get this story out of the way, why we know that CWL spots are not worth it, why people like Nadeshot, 100 Thieves, Evil Geniuses, LG, Gen G, all the teams avoiding this league, I think they're smart, and here's exactly why. Thanks to an article brought to us by Convoy Ventures initially, their study actually tries to show the media rights, the money that the Call of Duty World League could bring in its first year. Now, I'm not entirely trustworthy of this study. I'll link it down below for all of you guys as to where they got their numbers comparing Overwatch League and, of course, CWL, Call of Duty, and that's how they tried to compare these two to actually get a figure of what they think Call of Duty, the revenue from the league, can actually be in its first year. Now, again, I don't entirely trust their numbers. I will give this study the benefit of the doubt. I think they're very generous in terms of Call of Duty viewership, so keep that in mind. Their numbers on screen for all of you, so if you want to overlook the information, and again, link down below for all of you guys. Pretty much so by the end of it, they figured this out. We do know for sure Twitch has now signed a 2-year deal with Twitch for the Overwatch League of $90 million. By the end of this study, they concluded that Call of Duty in their 2-year deal for media rights should be able to bring in $48 million. Now, it's very weird when we look at viewership generally for both those games in total over the past 30 days. It doesn't necessarily add up. I'll show you guys the 30-day figure for Overwatch compared to Call of Duty, and as you guys can see, Call of Duty is just under a third of the viewership, yet somehow by this study, they think that the value of the league can be over half of that of Overwatch. So right there, the correlation does not add up, but I think we have a lot of great points out there additionally as to why this Call of Duty League and why Nadeshot's a very smart guy going forward, or should be, as well as other organizations, for avoiding the league, at least at this price of 25+ million for a spot, and why they might be the smart players not playing the game next year. And I start right there. Right away, the viewership numbers, we've talked about this in the past, so is Devin Nash, Richard Lewis, a bunch of other people in the scene have touched on this. It just does not make sense figuratively when we compare Overwatch League viewership to Call of Duty. Right then and there, you know, this evaluation of $24 million in media rights per year for $48 million over 2 years, it does not make sense. Then you add in the key point that this study did actually add at the very end. This actually concludes that if the Call of Duty League takes $0 from that fee, which of course for media rights the league is going to take probably a handsome percentage. So the fact is this, the overall study, guys, that we just read out, it doesn't really mean too much to me. When they say that they can actually make $48 million over 2 years, that's if the league itself takes $0, which is not happening. But there are so many other reasons alongside this. You of course forget about this, guys, the minimum salaries and minimum number of players in each and every team. Yeah, the $48 million, which by the way, if that number is true, it still takes 12 seasons or just over 6 years for each and every team to recoup themselves their $25 million investment. Keep that in mind, right? We're going to have that base fee. Let's say I'm an organization, I want to be in CWL next year. I'm going to pay the base fee of $25 million. Given the research and the study we just showed you guys, if the league takes $0 from media rights and they bring in $48 million across 12 teams over 2 years, each team is bringing home $2 million per year. At the very, very maximum, if the league is taking $0. What it does not also include, though, is the fact these teams are not only paying $25 million investments into the league itself. Yes, they might be recouping $2 million per year. They're spending $25 million initially. They got 7 to 10 players, $50K minimum salaries, housing, 401k, food, travel, so much else, guys, they got to pay out for this. And so that's why I don't really necessarily like the way this is actually worded and the way it paints in light of the possibilities of CWL. There are so many more fees to be invested, and all of a sudden it starts clicking. No wonder no one wants to be in this league, or very few do. So let's take it though. Let's give it the benefit of the doubt. Let's say as an organization, I am paying $25 million for a spot, and if the fee takes $0, and let's say I don't have to pay salaries, I don't have to pay housing, I don't have to pay 401ks and more on my team. Let's say my only fee is $25 million. Even then, if the fee is not being taken away by the league itself for media rights, it still takes 12 seasons to recoup your investment. And that's not including everything else that we have to throw in there. And I think very lastly, that the dagger for me, especially if I was an organization out there, and why I think organizations outside the league right now looking in are very smart to do so, you take into the fact is this, guys, if it takes you 6 years to recoup your investment, what happens to Call of Duty in 6 years? We've heard so many people fret about this, FaZe Banks included. Call of Duty, there's no guarantee it'll be around in 6 years. Yes, I think it will, but how many times in a decade do we see a very, very solid Call of Duty? How many times in the last 5 years have we seen a very solid Call of Duty? Once? twice, maybe to some of you guys, maybe 3 times. I don't think we're including Black Ops 4, and we're not including World War II in that count, are we? And so it's like this. A friend of mine put it in a great perspective. Imagine you buy a franchise spot in the NFL, and they change the game drastically every single year. How can you guarantee the fans or the players are going to want to play that game every single year the same way they wanted to play the great game like, Modern Warfare might be? This is a drastic league that really rushed things in. All of a sudden, we know 9 of 12 cities out there, and the rumors are very weird, right? Especially when it looks to teams like LG and Gen G being denied entry into the league, yet Gen G, their CEO, is saying, no, that's not really right. And now we have plenty of teams out there really avoiding the league, it seems, or at least being very concerned about it and waiting it out. And so will we get the 12 teams? I don't know. With videos like this, I've surely convinced myself if I ever had the money, I wouldn't be joining. What do you guys think? The viewership numbers don't add up. None of the fees add up. $25+ million. Of course, on top of all of this, you have to conclude at one last point as well. Can they even get the media rights for a gory, bloody game, a shooter game, which, by the way, here in America, shootings, a very big issue currently. CSGO is seeing a very similar issue of bringing in sponsors, and that would not change for Call of Duty. There are so many things against the league that just logically make sense, and so for me, it's very easy to see why other organizations are not choosing to participate. What do you guys think about this? As always, my name is Jake, breaking down esports and other gaming news here every single day, and here is why I think that CWL, it might not work out. Until next time, I hope you guys all take care of yourselves. I will see you back here sometime soon.